I'm at a point in my life now that nothing matters but my mental health. Welcome back to Found a Way, everyone. Joining us today is someone who is making a mark in the sports industry. She is a multimedia sports journalist and anchor for Fox 28 and ABC 6. Some of you guys might recognize her from Buckeye Football Fever that you see on Saturdays. The great Kellyanne is in the building. Thank you so much for getting on my podcast. It's really, truly a blessing to have you on, especially with your background and just your career so far has been amazing. And then seeing it from a
Wow.
view is really been heartfelt and touching. And I'm just glad to have
Wow.
you on the platform. Thank you. Welcome.
Oh, what an introduction. I'm over here just blushing. Thank you so much. Wow. I'm happy to be here. Excited to be here.
No doubt. I'm gonna start off by asking you, what made you become a sports journalist? At what
hmm
age did you sit back and was like, damn, like
hmm
I'm gonna do this shit and nothing's gonna stop me?
Middle school.
Middle school.
Middle school is when I remembered being like, oh, because you watch football with my dad. You see like Aaron Andrews on the sideline.
Right.
And I didn't think that was a real job. I
Mhm.
was like, oh, I don't know. Not that they're paid actors or anything, but I was like, I didn't know how that was like a real thing, right? I don't know.
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
thought, whatever. And then you take the little career tests. Well, I did in like middle school and stuff.
Mhm.
And it would be like communications, TV. And then once I figured out that was like a real career path, I was like, oh, I could do this because I grew up playing sports, but I was so painfully average, is how I would describe myself, like
What?
at soccer.
Yeah, right,
Yeah,
right.
that's at soccer. I tried track, I tried gymnastics. I just like wasn't like didn't have that like eliteness to go further than like middle school.
Right,
I
right.
did play travel though. I was on the club team, but yeah, and then
Just middle school, no high school,
oh,
varsity?
no.
Okay.
I was doing track. I wasn't good enough. Like I
Right.
played club, and that was like the feeder system for high school.
Yeah.
I was B team. Like, and at one
Okay.
point they meshed. I won't even get into that, but
Mhm.
I didn't make the cut initially for the one team. But anyway, so then I went to show choir.
Yeah.
So I did show choir, and I was really good at that. My high school show choir program was really, really good. I bring that up because I think it really did help me with like on-camera presence. And kind of
Mhm.
we had to carry ourselves as pros. So I think that taught me how to carry myself as a pro early on. Like we would travel and sacrifice too. Like we would travel to different states. I competed in LA, New York, Chicago, Indiana, Illinois every weekend in high school. I was traveling. So I think that kind of set me up for the sacrifice of this career as well. But anyways, once I figured all of that out, I like geared my whole trajectory towards sports broadcasting.
Right.
So I went to Ohio University, their EW Scripps School of Journalism. Shout out, go Bobcats.
Uh-huh.
So studied journalism, minored in
Yeah.
sports administration and management, and got involved in campus media. Did like everything was geared towards this career through college, and then I had 3 internships.
Nice.
I was commuting to Columbus for 2 years in college, on top of doing campus media, on top of maintaining grades, being involved in sorority, still
Right.
enjoying myself in college,
Mhm. So
and
he's
that
doing
set
a
me
lot.
up. Yeah, I did a
Right.
lot. Set me
Yeah.
up for my career.
Yeah, so when you was in middle school, you say you look up to Aaron Andrews.
Yeah.
And who else did you look up to like on TV? And you was like, damn, I want to be kind of like her, like Lisa
Yeah,
Salters.
she's great
You know what I'm
too.
saying?
I think it's
Malika
changed for
Andrews.
me.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's changed for me. I really like, I mean, honestly, I've also looked up to my mentors. I've been really blessed to have great mentors, including Kayla Anderson. She does sports broadcasting in Nashville.
Nice.
She used to be in this market too. She taught me a ton. But I love Laura Rutledge. I love that
Okay.
she can do it all.
Yeah,
Mina
Laura.
Kimes.
Oh, Mina is
I
awesome
know.
on NFL Live, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
she
she's
is just
awesome.
a guru with football.
Yeah, yeah.
I love every morning I wake up with Good Morning Football. So I love Jamie Ertl and all those
Yeah,
guys on
yeah.
there. I love though, especially when it comes to sideline, because eventually I'd like my career to go there, Holly Rowe.
Mm.
She is incredible. Her storytelling
Yeah.
that she does on the sideline, like obviously they're giving injury updates. You're asking all of the informative questions to coaches at halftime and at the end, but the stories that she'll bring with
Right.
the players is just so, I mean, because that's a huge thing of our industry is
No doubt.
storytelling.
Right, right.
And that's one thing that I really find my niche in is storytelling.
Mhm.
And I think she does an incredible job.
Okay, nice.
that,
I could
so-
tell you're great at storytelling.
Thank you.
Let's dive deep into the
Okay.
beginning of your career.
Yeah.
So you said you started as a producer for Spectrum
I
News,
did.
and then you but before that you worked at University of Tennessee Athletics for 2.5 years, covering different sports programs there. How did that come about? How did those two gigs come about, and how did it enhance your professional development in the sports media industry.
I will say this: there is no like straight line anymore. There's no direct path. So
Right.
I just want to preface that before I get into what I did, because it's
Yeah.
gonna sound crazy, and it's not like anybody who's listening who's interested in sports broadcasting needs to do what I did to get there. Everybody's path is so different.
Right.
But I had 3 internships in college. I interned as the Browns intern in Channel 5 in Cleveland. I'm originally from Cleveland. So that was awesome, but that was when the Cavs won the title, and I actually did a lot with the Cavs. So that was just sick
you was doing
in
stuff with the
general.
Cavs when they won?
I did. Yeah, it was like, as a Cleveland native, that was just like sick in general.
That's what's up.
But I also did stuff with the Browns. I remember like covering a training camp by myself. One day they're just like, here, take a camera, go get us some sound. Like, we weren't scheduling anybody to go cover it, so we'll just use whatever you grab as extra content. So that was like a really big. I remember running into Mary Kay Cabot, like I started to get to know all these people because I would show up as an intern, and I was like there by myself carrying the camera and tripod, like, oh my gosh, look at me, like this is such a badass moment.
Yeah.
So I did that, and then that set me up for my internship. I interned at 10 TV here in Columbus for a year. Learned so much there. And then I was an intern at what was Spectrum Sports. So out of college, honestly, I was shooting my shot in markets that were way higher. Like typically when you're starting in the industry, you'll start in like market 100 and local. And now, mind you, with social media and everything nowadays, everybody's path is different.
Right.
But I was like applying to places that I had no business applying to.
No, but that's the best. No, that's a great mentality to have though. Because I tell people they need to shoot for the stars.
Right?
You never know who's going to look at your
know.
resume or whatever the case may be.
But I will say, it did take me longer to get a job, and that was really hard. Mentally, that was really tough because I'm seeing some of my colleagues go and get jobs, and I hustled through college and did all the sacrifice, and I'm like, why am I not getting a job yet? But it was probably because a lot of the jobs I was applying to, I was not qualified for, but I waited my time. And then Spectrum Sports turned into a news operation, Spectrum News. And I had a really good relationship with them, and they opened up the door for me in media. So I ended up starting in Columbus, which is a bigger market. I did start as a news producer. Of course, that was a little hard for me because I geared everything towards sports broadcasting. But I learned a lot. You have to know how to do everything nowadays. So, I mean, currently now, when I'm anchoring on the weekends, I'm producing my own sportscast. I'm writing on my own copy. I'm putting in the graphics. I'm editing the video. I'm stacking my show. So, like, that producing element really helped me later down the road. But anyway, so I did that, and I worked overnights. So they would have me on their high school football show doing appearances, and then I would sometimes like stay overnight, and I would start my shift at like 3 a.m. and then work until 11 a.m. And sometimes I'd like integrate myself into the shows just to get those reps. But a lot of it producing. But I wasn't getting all of the sports broadcasting I wanted to. So then I was fortunate enough to become the Destroyers team reporter for a season when they came back. Right before they folded again, they came back. So I was the team reporter, and then I was doing freelance stuff for BCSN in Toledo. So sometimes I would work overnight producing, take a nap, then go cover a Destroyers game at Nationwide Arena. Or I would take a nap and then drive to Toledo, do sideline for Kellyanne College. Or
Kellyanne, okay.
Yes, Kellyanne College or high school basketball or some just niche things here and there. And a couple times I filled in anchoring for their sports nightly show. So I'd commute to Toledo, like 2.5 hours? And then I would drive back that night, go to sleep for like 5 hours, wake up, do it again. So I had 3 jobs out of college. And I also, which I forget, took an unpaid internship with a jewelry company when I graduated just to get social media experience. So I'm crazy. I wouldn't recommend that to anybody. But I did 3 jobs for a year and some change. And then I went to Knoxville, Tennessee for 2.5 years as a sports reporter at ABC.
Nice. Besides the time management, because that's a lot. I mean,
I know. I'm like, I don't even know how I did it.
No, but I mean, you did it because you love what you're doing, right? So you'll go beyond extreme measures to get to where you want to be.
Yeah, hustle, that's for sure.
Yeah, but when you look back, because you talked about time management and stuff like that, what was the hardest thing besides time management? What was the hardest thing to adjust to when you first started out? Was it writing your own note, like remembering your own notes? Like, what was the hardest thing?
That's a really good question. Oh man, I think it's just like learning, because that was my first job out of college, and then I'll just even stick to like the basic job, like my first job of like my main job of news producing. It was just you learn different systems, you get trained on different systems and different editing systems and producing stuff, and I think just honestly just being a sponge and learning everything. And everything was kind of like a fun challenge in a way. Just, it's always your first job. You just learn a lot, take a lot of licks.
Were you shy when you was first on camera?
Um,
No, wait. Before,
Yeah.
like when you're on camera, is there like certain cameras you gotta look into? That might, be
Oh
a
yeah, I guess like
silly
a little
question.
BTS. I don't know. So it just depends on what studio shot you have set up. And
Yeah.
in the field, you're typically with like one camera. But I will say this to your point though, you get a lot more comfortable. Reps are everything, even in sports,
Yeah,
right? The more
right.
reps you take in practice, the better you're gonna get. When you work on your craft like that, you just get better. So when I first started off, like to your point, yeah, I think it was like a little nerve wracking when the light comes on, especially in
Yeah.
the field for the first time.
Right.
You don't have teleprompter. You don't have that like safety net. So, and even reading off teleprompter is a skill. Like you are looking at words,
Yeah.
scrolling in real time, and you have to like your mind has to register. Mind you, somebody's also sometimes talking in your ear. So it's like
know.
I've developed this weird skill where I can
Wow.
like listen,
Yeah.
but also talk at the same time, and I can still be here in our conversation, but I can also eavesdrop right here and figure out
Yeah,
what people are
that's
saying.
crazy. That
I know,
take
it's like a
hella reps for
superpower.
me. Yeah, it is a superpower.
Right?
Damn, Kellyanne.
It's
That's crazy, right?
I know.
So you got good at it by doing like a lot of reps. Is
Yeah,
that
just
what you're
reps.
saying?
Reps are everything. So
Okay.
now people ask like, "Hey, do you get nervous on camera?" And it's like, honestly, I forget I'm on TV half the time. Like I
Yeah.
genuinely just forget that.
Right.
Just because it's like normal now.
Wow, that is absolutely crazy. I want to let's touch up on your Tennessee experience though
yeah.
in Knoxville.
Mm-hmm.
How did that come about? I mean, you interviewed Peyton Manning and shit. Like
I did.
that is crazy.
Nice guy.
Yeah, so you were covering the basketball team
Everything. Football, basketball.
during their Sweet 16 run.
Women's basketball.
Wow.
So I got hired in 2020. So that was a challenge in itself.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
right during
So
COVID. Yeah.
I was between a possible opportunity in Toledo and then the job in Knoxville. And that was really tough for me because, one paid more. Once, I'm staying in Ohio. I had never left Ohio.
Yeah.
I knew that was a possibility when in this industry. There's so much sacrifice in TV that people don't understand in terms of
Yeah.
like you leave your family, you work holidays, you work weekends, little pay, overworked, like that kind of stipulation. You really have to love what you do. Of course I do. So, but I was torn. I was like, man, I don't know. Knoxville, like I honestly wasn't registering how big of opportunity that was at the time.
Right.
And all my mentors were like, Kelly, go cover the SEC. Like, you're going to get so much big experience. This is a huge opportunity. Like, just take the leap. So thank God I listened to them. I'm also religious, so I prayed on it and
Nice.
everything.
Good.
It all worked out. I'm a believer in everything's supposed to happen the way it's supposed to. You may not understand now, so I have it tatted on me. You may not understand now, but later you will.
Right.
There was my whole career, it's been like that. So when I took this job in Knoxville, I prayed on it. That ended up being the option. And honestly, that ended up being the only option because I ended up getting rejected from the other job. So once I prayed on it, that was that. I was like, okay, God, I trust you. We're going to go do this. And it was the best decision of my career by far.
Yeah.
The experience I got there was insane. But I did join in February of 2020. So like a month before the world shut down.
Yeah. So you was like thrown into the fire.
Yes, I was the number 3 too in sports, and when there was no sports, I was afraid I
wow.
could have gotten laid off. Right, I was
Yeah.
the easy layoff.
Right.
But luckily, the company didn't do any layoffs to my knowledge. At least on my station, they didn't. But they did throw me in news, which again was hard because I was like, man, I just got out of news. Like I'm
Yeah.
trying to do sports. But honestly, it prepared me for the grind of high school football season there.
Yeah.
So, because it was massive in Knoxville, Tennessee. We had a huge show. And of course, just covering Tennessee football too, because
Yeah.
I was shooting my own video. I was shooting games on the sideline and for Tennessee football at
Right.
Neyland Stadium and for high school. Man, and high school nights, like Friday nights, that is a hustle because I'm shooting my own video. I'm on my hands and knees, editing at halftime all the video, writing copy to send back to the studio, shooting the second half, getting post-game interviews, then shooting my stand-up and putting a
Yeah.
package together all before 11 o'clock. So it was a hustle, but working in news taught me and prepared me for like shooting video and these like daily turns for football season. So then once football season came around, it was all kosher. And then, from there on out, 2.5 years, I've covered a lot. Coaching, firing, coaching, hiring, new AD, College World Series run with Tennessee baseball. I mean, they're number 1 country in the team at one point. Obviously, the legacy that's Pat Summitt, women's basketball there, Tennessee women's basketball, men's basketball, Rick Barnes. Of course, the resurgence of the Vols, what Josh Heupel and his staff did in 2.5 years was crazy.
Yeah.
So I had a time.
Right.
ahead of time.
Sounds like it. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. So what would you say, this is probably a hard question, but like what
Yeah.
would you say the difference between covering Tennessee athletics and now you just don't cover Ohio State athletics now, obviously, but like
Mhm.
what's you do some like reporting
Yeah.
on Ohio State athletics, obviously, but what is the difference between covering the Tennessee
Mhm.
athletics and covering Ohio State, you would say?
I know people ask that too, especially when I first got here.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think the conference as a whole, it's similar and different. It's like top heavy, but then it's extremely competitive. One thing I do miss about, I love Big Ten football. I said if I was going to come back, I loved SEC. But I was
Yeah.
like, if I had to come back to the Big Ten, it had to be Ohio State.
Yeah, for sure.
And it
I
brought me
feel
home.
you.
So this all worked out for
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
But I loved the pageantry in the SEC. Like game days at Neyland, by far like a top 5 experience. It's insane.
At Tennessee?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
insane.
I bet. All the SEC
Like
schools game
oh
day.
yes, the pageantry, like
Yeah.
Ohio State's very tradition
No,
rich, which
for
is really
sure.
cool.
Yeah.
But like Tennessee, man, you go to Neyland, there's fireworks at the stadium, the Vol Walk on Peyton Manning Pass, the amount of
Yeah.
people that just flood in orange and white in their checkered overalls as the team walks by and they're shaking hands and taking pictures and everything. It's
It's
just
different.
insane. It's
Yeah.
insane. And then when game day was there and running through the tee and just Neyland's built like up, so it's so loud and raucous and it's just like insane.
Yeah.
And everybody is into
For
it,
sure.
and they're loud, and
Yeah.
it's a cool environment. But I would say, especially transitioning back to Ohio State,
Yeah.
just covering a big time program like Tennessee is still like a big time program historically too. So I would say that's very similar with Ohio State. Like you go to Ryan Day's weekly press conferences, oh my goodness, there are like 50 plus people at
Yeah.
these press conferences.
I
Like
know.
everybody covers Ohio State football.
Right.
But Tennessee was very similar. You'd go to Josh Heupel and there would be so many beat reporter, different beat niches and podcasts and all this stuff that everybody's covering. So I'd say it was pretty similar. And that's what really helped me just transition here like nothing. Like my
Right.
first day here, they're like, pick up camera and go.
Yeah.
And also I did cover in Ohio State as an intern, so it was still familiar to me. But yeah, I would say honestly, like with my jobs, it's very similar.
Is football your favorite sport to cover?
Football is my favorite sport. I do
Okay.
also really love hockey. I would say be my second.
Really?
And then down from
Yeah.
there, it's just like all. But yeah, football has always been my first
Yeah.
love. But I do
Okay.
love hockey too.
Before we move forward with the episode, I'm not going to just disregard the Peyton Manning interview.
You're like, let's circle
Okay.
back on that.
Yeah, let's circle the block
Yeah.
back. How did that come about? Like, how did
Yeah.
you guys get connected? Were you at an
Mhm.
event and you just interviewed him? Like, how'd that happen?
Well, Payne's like the mayor there, having played for
sure.
Tennessee, the VFL.
Right,
So
right.
he does a lot of
Yeah.
appearances, and I'm trying to think what appearance he was back for. And it was so funny because like, especially when I was there covering Vol baseball, and they were so good. Like Tony Vitello has that thing rocking. He would come to games and just sit with the people. Like he wouldn't even be in a box. He would just be amongst the crowd. It was so impressive to me. But I interviewed him for an event. And I would have loved to say it was one-on-one, but it was like a group of us. But
Yeah.
we still, were asking questions one-on-one. And it was for some sort of event. I can't remember what it was. But he's great. He's very nice. Like very easy to work with.
For real?
Yeah.
Nice.
Very nice guy.
Yeah.
Very approachable. And with the interview, it was, he was just really nice, really respectable.
Yeah.
Great answers. It was funny afterwards. Some of his like PR people came up. They're like, "You did such a great job." I was like, "What? Just asking questions?" It's
Right.
my job.
Yeah.
But no, he was great. But it was for an event.
Oh, nice,
Yeah.
nice.
But he's around a lot. He'll go back to Tennessee when I was there a lot.
Yeah, he's been to the Memorial Golf Tournament a lot in Columbus.
He was here too.
Do you cover that? Because I go.
did.
Kellyanne,
Oh.
I go every year.
Top 5 event.
Yeah,
it's
facts.
It's
Facts,
fine.
man.
I would love to go as a fan personally one
right.
day. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm very blessed that it is my job.
Yeah.
But like, I would love to go as a fan because
Right.
that's
How
top
is
tier.
it covering the Memorial Golf Tournament every year?
Well, this past year for me was my first time doing it professionally, and
Yeah.
it was a grind just because they had me on the morning show. And on the morning show, I was doing hits. I was doing 2 hits like every hour. So and then for the noon, and then I think I would leave a package for the lates. So when it was all said and done, I did like 30 plus hits.
Damn.
Yeah,
Wow.
when it was all said and done. So
That-
talk about a grind.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And then I would stay late because I was doing the morning stuff.
Yeah.
And then for the weekend, once the tournament like really picked up and got down to the
Yeah.
wire, my schedule changed. But when I was doing the morning stuff, I ended up staying and helping the guys at night because I wanted to see the tournament.
Yeah.
And so I basically caddied for one of our photographers, and I would carry his tripod for
That
him
is funny.
so I could get inside the ropes.
Right,
and I would
right,
just
right,
watch and like
right.
help out. And it was so sick.
Right. Was you there all week?
Yeah.
Because they said Steph came also. Did you get a chance to talk to him?
So they were there
or?
were they like the celebrity pre-am
Yeah, it was
stuff?
Monday through
Yeah,
Wednesday.
I think I started
Yeah.
Wednesday.
Oh, okay.
I didn't get to interview Steph or Peyton there.
But did you see Steph there though?
I did, yeah. I saw
Oh,
those guys
wow.
signing autographs, doing their thing. We
Damn.
saw like a video of them like teeing off. I didn't follow them
Yeah.
that morning because I was doing a bunch of different things. But
Of
yeah,
course, right.
yeah, because I think Steph's charity is paired with them too.
Yeah. I think he was doing like a big event at the zoo also too.
Yeah.
That's what I heard.
So
Yeah, that's
it was
crazy.
cool, very
Yeah.
cool.
Well, like during your career so far,
Mhm.
who has been your favorite athlete to interview? Like what's been your favorite interview?
Oh,
You feel me?
I would say that's such a tough one because I've been very blessed to talk to
I know, that's
so
why I
many
asked.
different people.
That's why I asked.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Because I even forget.
Give me like a top 3. You don't gotta pick
I mean,
one.
Peyton Manning, just because that was just a career moment. I
Yeah.
feel like
Yeah,
it's
no
Peyton
doubt.
Manning. Like, come on.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
Top 3. Honestly, CJ Stroud's mom, Kim Stroud.
Oh,
I
that was in the
ad-
practice facility, right?
Yeah, I've talked to her a few times. I've been fortunate to develop a really good relationship with her.
Yeah.
Paris Johnson Jr.'s mom, Monica Daniels, she is a saint. But
Mhm.
I had covered Paris since high school, and same with Jack Sawyer. So it was honestly just a full circle moment when I
saw
came
the
back
Jack
here.
Sawyer because
Yeah.
you like you said you covered him in high school and then now
Yes.
you sitting down with him while he had a
It
Ohio
was
State.
crazy.
Full
like,
circle moment. Yeah.
Yes, because at Spectrum, I did a segment with some of the top recruits across the state for a high school football show.
Mhm.
So I remember interviewing Paris when he was in Cincinnati in high
Nice,
school,
nice.
and then Jack Sawyer when he was a junior here at Pick North.
Mhm.
And so then when I came back, it was just like, oh my gosh, like they're
Right.
grown now. Like
Yeah,
now
yeah,
they're in
yeah.
college, and then
Yeah.
Paris is off in the NFL, and Jack will soon. It's awesome.
You
He
talking
came
about Paris
back.
Campbell?
Paris Johnson Jr. the
Oh, Paris
offensive
Johnson
tackle.
Jr.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I know you're talking
Yeah,
about.
he's the Cardinals.
Oh, nice.
So I've developed a really good relationship with his family. But yeah, CJ Stroud's mom and I just clicked. Kim's, she's an amazing person. CJ's story is absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
What he's doing in the NFL is
Yeah.
absolutely, it's historical. It's
Did she
incredible.
tell did y'all talk about like because
Like his upbringing and
yeah,
everything.
CJ's very
Yeah.
religious too, and I like that
Yes,
about him.
I
He
love
talks
that
about his
too.
faith a lot.
Yes.
So did you guys like discuss that too?
Yes,
Just-
we talked about everything,
wow,
just
wow.
about, how the struggles that they have endured
Yeah.
before coming to Ohio State and, growing up and,
Yeah.
not being well off or anything like that and,
Mhm.
facing so much adversity and then coming here and what he did here and then now in the NFL. So her and I catch up periodically from time to time.
Right.
So yeah, I'd say just the connections. That's one of my favorite things about this industry is like the relationship
Yeah,
part
the
of
people
it.
you meet along the way because
Yeah.
you're building relationships that's gonna last a lifetime.
Yeah.
That's always the goal, right?
Always the goal.
So I feel
right?
like I mean that's what you're doing. I mean you're still in contact
Yeah.
with some of these people that you interview. right?
Yes. And you just never know. And CJ's such a nice kid. He's such a nice guy. which-
Right.
That's why it's so easy to root for because
Yeah.
he's genuinely a good person.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, he's that guy.
Top tier.
Yeah. So in the beginning of the episode, you was talking about
Wait, I do have one more though.
yeah,
if
go
you don't
ahead.
Mind me. I just want to give a
Oh,
shout out.
that was only 2. Yeah, go ahead.
Because there's so many. But
Yeah,
I
yeah.
will say, I would say number 3 for me would be I don't know why it just like sticks out to me is at the time Tennessee starting quarterback Hendon Hooker because I
Oh,
worked
number
so
5, right?
Mhm,
Okay.
Number 5,
Yeah.
Hendo Cinco. I
Yeah.
had worked so hard on that interview to get that interview because
Was this like after a game or?
it was a sit down interview.
Oh, okay, cool.
And he had already talked to national media, but in terms of like local TV, he had not done a sit down interview.
Yeah.
And I had a really good relationship with the media relations department there just because they're also fabulous people. They are wonderful at their job, but they're also just awesome people. But I'd worked so hard and based off relationships and I would like to think the trust that I earned with those programs, I was able to do so many different sit downs
Right.
while I was there. And it was kind of like my crowning like jewel, like my moment, my like what I left at the station was like I got so many of these exclusive sit down interviews. But I'd worked so hard. I was in their ear after Joe Milton got hurt and then Hendon took over and he ended up winning the starting job. I understand that, and it was Josh Heupel's first year. Like, they want to protect their quarterback. I understand, I respect it. So I had been working on that because he also he's super faith based. He wrote a
Nice.
children's book through NIL, talking about faith and athletics, and he just has really cool stories. At one point, he was in the hospital. If I'm remembering the story correctly, I think it had to do with some sort of complications with COVID, but he was in the hospital. He didn't know if he was going to play football again, things like that. Like, Hendon had a really interesting story. So I was like, I really want to sit down with him. I really want to talk about him with all of this triumph, adversity into triumph, because he was doing so well at Tennessee.
Right, right.
So I worked on that for a year, and then the second year, they finally gave him to me, and I finally did this big sit-down interview with him, and I was just so proud of myself because I kept on it, and
Yeah.
he was so nice, and it was great, and
Yeah.
so I'd say that one too. But it was like the starting, Tennessee starting
Right,
quarterback,
right.
so it was a big deal.
Yeah, so this is what I'm getting from you. That Tennessee experience really
Helped my career.
yeah. Did it help you
100%.
build confidence?
100%. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Were you lacking confidence before that, you would say?
I would say.
Or you just, I mean, because when you come into a situation, you're like blinded, like you don't know what's going to
Right.
happen, right?
Yeah.
So that can trigger like some lack of
Yeah.
confidence, you know?
I think it's a really good question. Candidly, I like to think I'm a very confident person. I think I'm at a point in my career where I am very confident, not just in my ability and what I bring to the table, but also I'm at a point in life where I'm just very confident in who I am. I just
Good.
know myself, very
Yeah.
self-aware. I'm very lucky to be in that kind of like mindset.
Yeah.
But before, when you enter the industry, I had to build a lot of confidence, especially being a female in sports, because the first thing they're going to try to knock on you is, oh, you didn't play football.
Yeah.
Like, that's like the first thing. So it's like I felt like I had to work 20 times harder than all my male colleagues to earn respect from others, not just from viewers, but from bosses and from other athletes and everything, who they might not be like, well, she didn't play. So like, why should I trust what she's saying? Da, 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 da.
I know,
So it's
right?
like, but again, I've also been very fortunate where I've had a really good support system. I've worked with a lot of athletes and coaches and stuff who are all been very, very respectful,
Right,
very
right.
open, who've embraced me. The guys on the Fever who played it, like Jay Richardson, a dear friend of mine, who's embraced me and stuff. So
Yeah,
I've been very
yeah.
fortunate, but I felt like I worked very hard to earn that respect and prove myself.
Right, right.
So at first, though, when you're entering the industry, I would say at first it took me time to build confidence
Yeah.
in sports reporting, just because it's like I had that in the back of my mind, but I had to learn to let that go.
Yeah.
Because like, no, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm talking about. I love what I do. Like, I don't need to think like that. So
Yeah. Did you go through that a lot earlier in your career when like as far the aspect of like people saying like what does she
Yeah.
know about sport? Like cuz
Yeah.
women in the sports media
Yeah.
get that a lot.
Yeah, they
you know,
do.
especially when they don't especially when you haven't like played professionally or whatever the
Yeah.
case may be.
Yeah.
How did you maneuver through all that bullshit? Like when
Yeah.
people came up to you, it was just like or not come up to, but was
Yeah.
just thinking like, what does Kellyanne know about sports? She never played. Like
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
corny to me.
Yeah, I
Like-
think for me too, I did a lot of it to myself. I think it was like, because you see that happening, right? I've been very
Yeah.
fortunate. Of course, you're gonna get some offhanded comments here and there, and you really do have to have a tough skin. I'm never saying it's okay. Like, we shouldn't be subjected to that. People nowadays just need to be nicer, because it's just tough out here, right, for everybody. So it's just like, let's just spread kindness
Yeah,
and
life is tough.
happiness
Yeah.
and love.
Right,
But
right.
people on the internet are gonna behave how they do.
Oh,
So
for sure.
you do have to have a tough skin, especially if you are in the public. But I've been very fortunate where I've had a lot of good support. But I think a lot of it I did to myself, of like, just because but like, to your point, like, you see it, right? I see that happen to my female colleagues and just in general, to people in national media. You still see it, right? And I love when people put others on blast, kind of hold them accountable, like, hey, you should not be. It's like, I feel like Mina Kimes are people who are incredibly smart and knowledgeable and amazing what they do. They'll still call out some people when they'll make these offhanded comments like, oh, well, you're a woman. But
Man,
I
that
would say,
pisses
like,
me off.
you just kind of have to put your blinders on, and it's like, I know me and I know my worth. I know what I'm doing. I know I'm knowledgeable. I know what I'm talking about. So you kind of just got to, and it's easier said than done, right? But I think
Right.
that's something that I've just learned. And like I said, I'm just at a point in my career where I've done so much, and I'm forever learning and growing. I think you always are.
Oh, always.
Or you're not tapping out your max potential.
Yeah, right, right.
And the landscape of media is just changing constantly.
Yes.
So you're always going to be learning and growing. But yeah, I just think you just tune out the haters. It's always easier said than done. But yeah, no, I've also been fortunate though to have, like, I will say, like, the Knoxville community, like they were so great. Like I still talk to like the viewers there. Like they were just so nice and so
Yeah.
welcoming and very embracing of me as a female sports reporter and here in this market too. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. I've just been very fortunate. My male colleagues, like my boss Clay Hall, he's
Oh, Clay
he's
Hall.
iconic.
I met him at the MLS Cup.
He's amazing.
Yeah, he's
great. So
yeah.
it's like for females, having supportive male cast is also extremely important. Like I saw
Right.
the guys in the Fever, I love them to death, and like everybody, I've been very fortunate to have that support too.
Right. And being a woman in sports, Kellyanne, how do you think the women in like sports for women have
Yeah.
grown throughout the years? Because you
Yeah.
see it increase. Like
Yes.
before we got on the air, we talked about like the tickets for Ohio State women's basketball going up tremendously
Yes,
because
it's awesome.
they're number 2 in the country, and
Yep.
we need to start paying. We need to start paying like more dollars to see these women and support them.
Absolutely.
So how do you feel about that as far as that perspective of just women in sports, or
It's
just
growing.
just growing
Yeah.
tremendously? Yeah.
I think it is. I think there's we're more embraced.
Yeah.
You know, there's more of us in the industry. There's been awesome women who have helped pave the way for more of us to have a seat at the table. I just think there's more acceptance. Of course, you're still seeing pushback. I think you're always going to. It is still a male-dominated industry. But there's definitely more women. And I think the cool thing about 2024 is that you're seeing more women break all of these barriers. I think I reposted it, but that I should know her name too, but she's becoming like the first MLB analyst, like play-by-play or something for MLB.
Oh, I saw. Did you post it?
I reposted it. Yeah, 'cause I like to shine a light on that.
I saw that.
But you're seeing that. You're seeing more women coaches, like in the NFL, and
right.
more barriers being broken.
I mean, you see women's coaches in the NBA.
Yeah,
now.
in the NBA, in different sports. So it's like you're seeing still like progress, not just in sports broadcasting or just the athletes in general, but like all facets of sports, which is so fun and awesome to see.
Right. Absolutely. Now, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
I want to go back in the beginning of the episode when you talked about like your time management and like, and we said that a lot of people don't know what goes on behind the scenes. They just see you on TV, you know, going crazy, but they don't know how much work you done put in.
Yeah.
So from the beginning of your career to now, have you ever faced like any like mental health challenges or adversity? And how were you able to manufacture through those, you know, those obstacles and those challenges, you would say?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Like I mentioned too, even just getting the job when I graduated in April and I didn't get my first job until September, October was really rough for me mentally. But I just was confident that I was going to get a yes. So I just have leaned on my self-belief and support from mentors and friends and family. But yeah, I don't know. There are definitely tough days. Like I do, at the end of the day, I love what I do because you have to in this industry because I'm shooting my own stuff. I'm carrying my own equipment. I'm writing my own copy. I'm editing my own stuff. I'm doing everything by myself more times than not. Sometimes I get a photographer's help, but most times not. My boss and I, we are doing our own things. And it's always been my career. It's like you have to be self-sufficient. Like I said, I was shooting Tennessee football. I got really good at shooting at one point because my colleagues they were really good shooters, so they taught me a lot. But I was running up and Heupel's offenses are really fast. So when they're changing possession, I'm sprinting up and down the sideline.
Tennessee football?
It's fast.
Oh,
It's tempo.
For sure.
So like you can't, when they're snapping between plays, like you can't really even stop recording because they are so fast. But I'd be running up and down the sidelines and the Tennessee Heat and then editing highlights at halftime and sending them back and then having to fix myself to go on air right after and compose myself. So it's definitely been like challenging in those ways. And I've learned a lot and it's prepared me for a lot of things to handle different elements. But yeah, there are definitely tough days. I think what helps me through the tough days is just I genuinely love what I do. I always tell people when they want to get in sports broadcasting, first and foremost, I'm a sports fan. So I just love, it's so cool for me to go to games for free and I just love talking, covering sports. Yeah. But there are definitely hard days for sure.
Right.
Just when it gets overwhelming, when you're tasked with so many jobs and you want to put out the best product. Like for me, I want to create the best content that I know fans will enjoy or due diligence of if this athlete is trusting me to tell their story, I want to do due diligence for their story and I want to do the best that I can to make sure that their story comes to light. So, there's like even a lot of pressure I put on myself. But then I try to take a step back and not put too much pressure on myself just because, that can get toxic. But
Right.
yeah, no, it's just kind of
Yeah.
learning to center yourself.
And stay in balance
Yes.
spiritually and mentally.
Yes,
And that's what
100%.
I want to get into. When you're on your way to the top and doing something that a lot of people are not doing, like you're part of a small percent. I said this on the phone too. You're
Yeah.
part of a small percentile. And I think when you're in the moment, you don't realize that. You might
Not at
realize
all.
it now,
Not
but
at
like
all.
you don't realize that. And then once you're on your way to the top, you're gonna go through you might go through self-doubt. You might go through like dark times. Like it gets real dark.
Yeah.
Like, because you're doing something that a lot of people aren't doing,
Yeah.
which is doing what you love to do while being successful
Thank
at
you.
doing it.
Thank
So
you.
it's not the social norm to do that. So
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna go through dark times. So if you ever went through like any dark times throughout the process, and I feel like you might have had,
For sure.
even though you're a self-driven, independent woman, you might have
Period.
to go through. I'm weak.
I had to.
I know. You said it before I did. That's funny. You might have to go through dark times. How were
Yeah.
you able to manufacture through those thoughts and push forward and just put that shit to the side? Because self-doubt can be, dangerous, but can also be a blessing.
It could be yes.
Yeah.
It's like a double-edged sword. It could be debilitating, and I've had those moments. I guess it's really, I don't really talk about that because it's like you like to seem like you have it all put together and you have it all, but like yeah, of course that there's been plenty of times, especially early on in the industry, you do have self-doubt. Like, am I gonna make it? Am I good enough to do this? Like, especially when you're working all these crazy hours and you're spending time away from family
Yeah.
and stuff, you're like, is this worth it? Is this worth all missing these events and missing holidays? And I don't know. So I will say for me, I've had a really good support system. And that's like one thing in this industry. I'm sure with like athletes, it's the same thing. You have to have a really good support system. My family is very supportive. My friends are very supportive. I have mentors and people in the industry that have my back. I have their back. That community has been very, very, very important. And you're not going to always find that. It's still hyper competitive. Everybody wants to get to the top. But I've been very lucky to have a really good support system in this industry. And then
Yeah.
faith.
Right.
In the hard times, you just pray.
Right.
And the good times, you pray too.
Right. How has God helped you throughout those hard times? Because I'm very religious too. I come
Yeah.
from a religious family, and my mom introduced me to God at a very young age. So I was praying when I was 3 years old. So
Yeah.
how has God helped you through that? Because He works in mysterious ways.
He really
right?
does. Like I said,
Yeah.
there's been so many leaps. And like I mentioned with that job with Knoxville and like the possibility of this one in Toledo. And I literally prayed, I was like, God, I don't know what to do. Can you please direct me on where I'm supposed to go? Because I trust the path that I'm on.
Yeah.
And literally he closed one door and opened the door that I needed to go. I literally did not get the job in Toledo and got the offer in Knoxville. So I'm like, okay, that's it. That's
You got
what
a
he told
bigger
me.
gig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, because I wasn't seeing the vision. I wasn't seeing it.
Yeah.
Even though a lot of people were encouraging me and I was listening to them, but I wasn't trusting and seeing it until I was like fully like gave it up to him. I'm like, go, do make the decision for me because I can't decide.
Right.
And then he did, and I saw signs, and like I said, it was the best decision of my career. I'm forever grateful for WAT and ABC6 in Knoxville for giving me that opportunity because it opened up so much doors. It shaped my career. Same with this job too. I mean, I was on the verge of signing a contract as a weekend sports anchor in Sacramento, California.
Oh, wow.
On the verge.
Really?
The day of when I called Clay, and I was like, because I was in the interview process here.
Yeah.
And I wanted to come home. And I had interviewed in Cincinnati and Cleveland, in Minneapolis,
Damn.
St. Louis, Buffalo. Like I was very fortunate to have, and I have an agent too who I'm obsessed with. He's great.
Yeah.
So that's been very helpful too. But yeah, even with this job, but I wanted to come home, but I was torn because it was a big opportunity in Sacramento. It's a top 20 market covering NBA. I was also be covering some of the Niners. They would go to home games. So I'm like,
wow.
NFL, I know. I was like,
Wow.
oh my goodness. They would go cover Golden State in the postseason. I'm like, oh, that's incredible, right?
Right.
But deep down, I really wanted to come home. And, prayed on that a lot. And then I had this conversation with Clay, and he's like, I had an epiphany this weekend. Like, you're the hire, you're my partner. So he made it happen for me. So I would say, like, just God works in mysterious ways.
So Clay went out his way.
Yes, he did.
To have you stay here.
He did. Yeah, he vouched for me.
Man, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, no, he's.
I don't know. I mean, Clay don't know me from a can of paint, right? He don't know me. So when I saw him at the MLS Cup, he wanted to get to know me. And that was
Yes.
just like,
He's a
damn, bro.
genuine
It
person.
should be the opposite, bro. I'm just an intern here with the crew. And I'm like, I should be able to get the, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's just like he was asking me so many
Yep.
questions. And like
That's good.
he seems like such a genuine guy. So that don't surprise me when you say that.
Yeah, no, he was like, "Yeah, an epiphany. I'm gonna go tell our news director that I want you for this job," and
Yeah.
so that was awesome. But yeah, any hard times, just pray, go back. That I trust God, I trust the plan that
Hmm.
He has laid out for me, and that I will help also give back. I really like to help others because I still get a lot of help. So anytime that I
Right.
can help anybody else in the industry, any young up and comers, any sort of advice, whether they take it or not, I'm
Hmm.
happy to help in any way that I can.
Right. Right.
So yeah, just leaning on that. That's definitely been helpful
Okay.
through the hard times.
Okay. What's your overall perspective on mental health and how
Hmm.
is it affecting the sports industry? I mean, you
Yeah.
interview a lot of athletes and
Hmm.
you might have touched up on mental health with some of those athletes
Hmm.
and a lot of people come from different backgrounds,
Yeah.
but what's your overall like perspective on mental
It's
health?
so important.
Yeah.
It's so important. And I'm happy to see it seems like there's more resources to
Right.
athletes to deal with that because I also can't imagine what they go through with social media and how anybody can just get to anybody now. They can just voice their opinion. I mean, I've talked to so many athletes who have received death threats. And
Right.
yeah, it's just absolutely insane to me that somebody would even think to do that to somebody else as a human being. Um,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's so important. It's extremely important to have those resources, and it's good to see that. I feel like there are more resources, there are more support. It is more accepted. I think it needs to be even more accepted because mental health. It's just like if you break your arm, right? Like
Right.
you should also have the time and everything to heal. If you feel like you're just not in a right place, like you should be able to have the time to heal
Right.
your psyche, and
Hmm.
mental health is extremely important.
Right. Right.
So.
Right. Yeah.
I think it's good. It's being more talked about. It's being more, in
Hmm.
the media. It's more talked about. There's more, which is super super important to have those open conversations.
Yeah.
And if an athlete feels compelled to share that with me, I always feel very grateful that they're willing to have that
Hmm.
conversation because you
Yeah.
genuinely don't know, and outside of sports you don't know what anybody's going through,
Don't
and you
know.
don't know, maybe that's something that they needed to hear, encouragement to go get help because it is extremely important to take care of yourself
Right.
in all avenues.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. To wrap up this episode, I'll ask you this. What does Kellyanne want to accomplish in 2024? And no, forget, scratch that. Not 2024. What do you want to accomplish more throughout your career? Like, there's no ceiling to where you can take it. We
Oh,
just
thank
talked
you.
about this.
Yeah,
But
I like to think
what
so.
do you, I know you hungry for more, though. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
feel like you give off like when's your birthday?
April 12th. I'm an Aries to
Ah,
a T.
yeah,
I
do it.
am an Aries.
I was about to say, you definitely a fire sign.
Yes, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
I study you a little bit. You know what I'm saying? You give off a fire energy, because you're
Mhm.
so independent and self-driven.
Thank
But
you.
what do you want to accomplish, man? What else do you want? What's out there that you want to just go grab?
Oh,
You know what
I'm
I'm
a
saying?
dreamer. And
Yeah,
it's funny you say so every year, I don't know when I started doing this, maybe a few years ago, but every year I do self-reflection.
yeah,
See what, always what I'm grateful for, what I'm thankful for, what I was able to do, what God has allowed me to do. And then I always write down my goals. And then I
hmm,
go back every year and see how far, like, did I accomplish this? And I try to make them tangible, not too out
yeah,
of reach.
yeah,
So I do write down goals and everything, and like little things, right? Like growing my social media, focusing more on maybe trying to generate content on TikTok, like things
hmm,
like that, just to grow also my personal brand, but also reach more sports fans and everything like that. But yeah, long term, I feel like I have so many different goals and aspirations, and they change all the time.
yeah.
But I think right now, down the road, whenever my time comes, I would love to be a host and then do like a host of, like, I love Good Morning Football. I love the football
That's what I was about
fever.
to say. I could see you
Yeah.
being an anchor.
I would love to like host, but then also
Yeah.
be able to do sideline for like big games or like big
Mm-hmm.
events.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of want to be the jack of all trades. So kind of what I do now. I want to be that dynamic talent and could
Yeah.
be called upon to do whatever for
Right,
the
right.
team.
And then I can also see you doing because there's different journalists and
Hmm.
reporters that because Fox they do like a Big Ten game of the week. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
yeah.
And who's Who's the chick that's always on the sidelines for every Fox? She
Oh, yes,
travels.
I know, Jenny Taft.
Yes.
Oh, she's
yes.
incredible. And
Jenny Taft, right?
She's incredible. And
Yeah.
I'll like watch and turn on, she'll be like doing reporting for like the dog show, like
Yeah.
on Thanksgiving or whenever that
Yeah.
comes about.
Yeah.
And she'll do stuff with soccer and like MLS and like oh my gosh. Talk about dynamic talent. She just covers so much.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Jenny Taft. She's
Yeah.
also. I've been meaning to get the courage to go up and talk to her at one of these Ohio State games one of these days because
you ain't yet.
not yet. No,
Oh,
because like
damn.
she'll be busy and I'll be busy because like we do so much
right.
with the pregame.
Yeah.
But that's actually one of my goals this year.
Mhm.
Hopefully to run into her at a game and pick her brain about how she manages to do all that.
Right,
But
right.
yeah, like a dynamic talent like that, just to be called upon
Yeah.
to do whatever. I would love to do that.
Okay. Nice. Do you see yourself like being an anchor for like a big TV show, like a First Take or Undisputed?
I don't. I
Would you
personally
ever?
love-
Would you ever like be interested in doing that?
I don't know. Maybe I personally love. Like I said, I wake up every morning and watch Good Morning Football. It's
Yeah.
just so fun. And
Also, Good
it
Morning
reminds
Football.
me
yeah.
of our Football Fever show, where it's just
Mhm.
like me and Clay and a bunch of the football guys, all the guys that used to play.
You're the
and,
anchor
like,
for that show, right?
Yeah, I would say like it's like a kind of like a I don't know.
You
I
know what you're
report-
talking about, though.
I do. Yes. I love football.
Hey, that's so
it's just like
crazy.
fun. Like it's just fun
Yeah.
to just like talk, just literally talk ball with the guys. Like I just love
You
that.
do. You're the
So-
only woman on there.
I guess
And
you're right. Yeah.
You're asking questions and you're like really dissecting that shit.
I just love it. I just
Yeah,
love
like you've
football.
been there forever. Like you didn't play the game of
I
football.
know. That's what
right?
Jay will mention. Him like, oh, you know, Bob. Like I know. Like it's just
That's
fun
what's
to
up.
chop it up with them. So
Yeah.
like Jamie Erdahl does that on Good Morning Football. So I feel like that kind of show would be fun.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't
That's
know.
a tough
We'll
gig to
see.
get though, Kelly. How did you
It
get
is.
that gig?
Oh,
The Football
Oh,
Fever.
that just came along with this job, but I'm very, very forever grateful that
Oh,
ABC
wow.
and Fox 28, my leadership there,
Yeah,
gave me
yeah.
this opportunity.
Yeah.
Because that's like one of our big shows. But yeah, it's just honestly, it's like my little Good Morning Football.
Yeah.
And shout out to everybody on there, our producer, Stephen Kappas, who puts it all together. Like, it's just so fun. But yeah, I would love to do something like that.
Wait,
too.
hold on. I know it depends, and you have different responsibilities every day with your job.
I do.
But what's a normal day? Like when you go into ABC6,
Yeah.
like what's a normal walk me through the day.
Oh,
Walk me
you know,
through
it's
the
so
day.
funny because it changes all the
I
time.
know.
Like we just had breaking news the other day,
Yeah,
right on Valentine's Day.
yeah,
So like
right,
everything that I had planned that day just kind of blew up because
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's breaking news.
Yeah.
But it just depends. So like sometimes if I already have a certain story I want to work on with like an athlete,
Mm-hmm.
have that set up, that'll kind of be my day. We actually do a lot of day turns. So sometimes like if say it's kind of okay, we'll do Kevin McGuff. This will be a better example. They have a Kevin McGuff press conference, and we're talking to JC Sheldon
Yeah.
at like 2:30 of like a game preview, and
Yeah.
kind of just like they're they're number 2 in the country, number 1 in the Big Ten. You know, like they're killing it, they're rolling.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
like you're talking about the game preview, but then like their next opponent, but also kind of just like the success they're having at this point. So like say that's at like 2:00. Go shoot that, maybe stay for a little bit of shoot around, get some fresh B-roll, and then I'll go back and turn it for either like the 5 or 6, whatever I'm assigned that day. So there's like a lot of quick turnarounds. Sometimes I have to edit and put together feature pieces in like an hour and a half, like bang it out.
Right.
So it depends. It depends who's talking that day. It depends on like we kind of pitch ideas, what our upper management wants that day too. So it's like it changes, which is
Yeah.
also fun. And also a little bit chaotic because it's like
Yeah.
my schedule. I might have my off days right now are Thursday, Friday.
Okay.
But say that there is this exclusive interview that I've been working hard to get and they can only talk on Friday.
Then you got to do it.
Then you got to do it.
Gotta make it happen.
So it's like, it's a double-edged sword in a way
Mhm.
because it's always eventful for me. But then it's like, you just don't really know.
Right,
like your
right.
day-to-day changes all
Right.
the time. So I definitely look forward to my off days.
Oh, I know you do.
to
How
relax a
how
little
many
bit.
how many hours do you work per week? You would say.
It just fluctuates. It's like all over the place.
Like what?
Because like football season's different, right? Because
Yeah,
like those are
okay.
long
I want to
days.
know the busiest work week.
Football
Like,
season. By
so how many
far.
hours you work per week during the football season? You would
It
say.
depends. If I like travel, so
Oh, so you travel too?
so yeah, on occasion. So like this past year, I
Damn.
traveled for the Notre Dame game and the Michigan game.
Okay. Damn.
I know.
Okay.
The 2 best games.
Oh,
I also wanted
I
to
didn't
go to
know about that.
Wisconsin. I really wanted to go see the jump around.
Uh-huh.
But so I didn't travel for that one, but it was Notre Dame and Michigan.
Wow.
Mhm.
That's
I was
badass.
at the big house.
Kellyanne, that's badass.
It's crazy.
I didn't know you traveled too.
Mhm.
Damn.
So that's like
awesome.
my favorite part about the job.
Yeah.
I love to travel.
So do you guys just fly out with the team, or you just fly separately?
No, it's our own separate and like
Commercial?
yeah. Oh yeah, nothing fancy.
No team,
I wish I was flying. Are you kidding me on their like jet?
Yeah,
That'd be
right.
great.
Right.
No. Like Clay, that would be part of his job is like helping set that up as a sports director. And,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, the travel's definitely the most fun. But those weekends are really long or like
Oh yeah, for sure. I can imagine.
game days. We have an hour pregame show with the Football Fever.
Yeah.
So say it's a noon kick. I'll be at the stadium. We'll leave for the shoe around maybe 8:30.
Yeah.
9, and then I'll go there and I'll get to content. Sometimes like with the big noon kickoff, they'll have a lot of former players come. Like I interviewed Cardell Jones this year, and
Nice.
so I'll quickly bang out that interview that will run during our pregame show, and then I'll go on the field for warm-ups and kind of talk about what I'm seeing. Like say there's somebody who's questionable, kind of see how they're looking right now when they're warming up, see if they might be good to go. Injury updates, things like that, and then kickoff, and then we do a bunch of stuff for our post-game show.
Right.
So those can get easily like 10-hour days.
Yeah.
10-hour days.
Nice.
But game days are just different because you have this. It's just this different energy.
Oh,
it's like
for sure.
Christmas morning for me.
That adrenaline going through your body is different. It
like
makes you
walking
get
into
up.
the shoe, I'm like,
That's what you work for, man.
Yeah.
That's what you work for.
Yeah. So sometimes the long days, like you just kind of blink and you're like, oh wow, I just casually worked 12 hours. That's fine.
Yeah. Sometimes it don't feel like 12 hours because you're doing what you love.
Not until afterwards where you're like, whoa.
Right. Facts. The
just
next
did all
day,
that.
it's like, damn.
Yeah, the next day. Yeah,
Right.
especially the older I get, the more I feel it too. And I don't think I'm old, but it's like funny because like the older you get, especially traveling, when you come back, you're like, oof, like going right into the work week. Because sometimes if you get back on a Sunday, you're working the next day.
Right. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you for getting on and telling your dynamic, legendary career so far.
Oh, thank
I just want
you.
to let you know that, you still can reach, mountaintops that you never can imagine.
Thank
you know what I'm saying? And I just think that's important, especially when you're already seeing success on what you're doing. There's always more.
Always.
And I feel like you got that fiery, mentality. I feel like that's what you want. You want more. So, but thank you for getting on the pod.
Thank
Everybody,
you for having me.
catch her on ABC 6, Fox 28. Ohio State spring game coming up.
Yes.
We got a lot of information about, coaching decisions with Ohio State basketball. We got the women's team. Second in the country, we got the blue. A lot's happening with the Blue Jackets. So if you ever want to know what's actually going on, just turn on your local TV station and you'll see Kellyanne on that thing, man. But thank you for getting on.
Thank you for having me. It was such an honor when you asked me to come on. I was so excited. I was like, you want me on? You want me to talk about this?
Hell yeah.
So I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
And if anybody can connect with me too on social media, if you have any questions or anybody's aspiring to get into the industry, hit me up for
What's
real.
your social, tell everybody your social media tag and TikTok.
TikTok I'm still working on. That was a work in progress. I think it's Kellyanne Stitts, but I'm really active on X.
Yeah.
So Kellyanne Stitts. If you want to hit me up on IG, if you just want to reach me, Kellyanne_Stitts, LinkedIn, whatever. But anybody who has any questions or just wants to connect, hit me up.
And that's that. We out.